Greetings and welcome to the Ora News broadcast on this Saturday afternoon. I'm Daniel Cook, your host for the English edition, in which we are pleased to serve the international community by offering the Albanian news in English, Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. In today's news, the city of Shkodra has risen up in protest against the new territorial reform that was approved by the government. The inhabitants of the communes of the area decided to protest against the reform and blocked the national highway between Shkodra and the municipality of Tirana. The forces of immediate intervention were called to clear the protesters off the road. The protesters had established themselves in a place called Harku I Bertices. The protest by these inhabitants of the area was also supported by the heads of the communes and by the Democratic Party of Shkodra. The inhabitants of the communes of Velipoja and Dukagjini do not want to merge with Shkodra. According to the citizens of the area, this new territorial reform will destroy their traditions, and that is why their only solution is to protest against this new division. The new territorial reform has united the representatives of the Democratic and Socialist parties in the town of Oricum. During an extraordinary meeting, the councillors of both parties threatened to boycott the council and also the next elections if Oricum is merged with Vlora. The head of the municipality council, Agim Begotaray, states that all the members of this council have signed a petition and that they have sent it to the government officials responsible for this reform. In this petition, it is clearly stated that if Vlora is merged with Oricum, then they will not only boycott the meetings of the institution, but they will also boycott the next elections. Other representatives of both the Socialist and Democratic parties stated that if the government does not take action to change its decision, then the inhabitants will rise in protest and will block the national roads. The Democratic Party in Leja has also reacted negatively to the new territorial reform, which has been approved by the socialist government. According to the head of this political force in Leja, there must be political consensus in order to help and be in the service of the people. According to him, the local authorities must have full powers in order to serve their people. He added that for a long time, the Democratic Party in Leja has been against this new territorial reform. On his part, the head of the commune of Shëngjin, Salvador Kachai, agreed with the head of the Democratic Party in Leja and considered this reform to be intended to damage Shëngjin. According to him, it is absurd for Shëngjin to merge with Leja, since this would clearly damage tourism and economic development. He added that Shëngjin must be a municipality of its own and not be merged with another one. For the first time after communism, Leja and Shëngjin will be united as one administrative unit. It is expected that in the next week, there will be an all-inclusive protest against the new territorial division in the district of Leja. The leader of the opposition, Lulzim Basha, has met with the Italian foreign minister to discuss his stance on the situation in the country. Albania continues to be threatened by crisis, he said, and the European Union must be given a proper evaluation of this situation. Through these words, the head of the Democratic Party and also the mayor of Tirana, Lulzim Basha, requested more attention from the European Union. Basha expressed his thoughts during the meeting with the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Federica Mogherini, whose country will hold the next presidency of the European Union. During this meeting, the head of the opposition told the Italian diplomat that the political situation in the country has deteriorated to the point of crisis, since Rama and Mehta are trying to eradicate the democratic standards. He made this statement: "They decided to ignore the clear message and the appeal of the European Union, which stated that the reform in the judiciary system requires consensus, consultations, and transparency. Despite the comments of the international representatives, Prime Minister Edi Rama and the head of the parliament, Ilir Mehta, they attempted to approve new laws in the parliament, which intend to place the High Council of Justice and the judiciary system into the hands of the majority," stated the head of the Democratic Party, Lulzim Basha. The head of the Democrats also told the Italian foreign minister about the reasons that forced his party to abandon the parliament. According to Basha, for the first time in history, if the opposition stayed in the parliament, the situation could have deteriorated to the point of bloodshed. He said, "The Prime Minister has installed several elements of violence in the parliament, and through these people, he wants to threaten and destroy the opposition. He has already created political tensions, and this situation has forced the Democratic Party to abandon the parliament to avoid further violence," declared Lulzim Basha. Sources say that the head of the Democratic Party also tried to explain to Mogherini that the situation is not what she thinks it is. A day earlier, during a meeting with the Foreign Minister, Dietmar Buschati, Mogherini appreciated the constructive dialogue of the government with the opposition. Basha clarified that not only is there no kind of constructive dialogue from the government, but they are trying to eliminate every legal space that the opposition has. Speaking about the aggression against a member of the opposition, Basha requested the European Union to observe and analyze this situation. According to Basha, this situation does not help anyone and damages the European path of Albania. The head of the Democratic Party requested from the Italian foreign minister that she observe this critical situation so that the European Union can take measures to improve things and bring the situation back to normal. The Italian foreign minister has started a regional tour to observe the situation and progress of some countries of the region. The Democratic Party continued with its accusations today against the Prime Minister of Albania, Edi Rama. According to the Democratic Party, for 16 days, Prime Minister Rama has kept silent and has refused to speak about the aggressions against the members of the opposition. During a press conference, the Democratic deputy, Gjergj Papa, accused the Prime Minister of being involved in crime and bringing a person with criminal record into Parliament. He stated, "For 16 days, Prime Minister Edi Rama continues to hide and avoid his responsibilities. He must speak about the violence toward a member of the opposition." The Prime Minister continues to be silent, even after the publication of the facts, which show that one of the members of his party is a man with a criminal record, and he was convicted in Italy. His silence makes him guilty in front of everyone. He asked for names and facts, and now all the Albanians know the truth. But even though he asked for these facts, now he refuses to speak about Deputy Arben Ndoka, who was convicted in Italy on charges of prostitution and kidnapping. His silence is understandable, since he expelled 2 women from the list just to make room for Deputy Ndoka, who would later become a member of the violent team against the opposition. This silence in the last 16 days makes him 16 times guiltier in the eyes and minds of the Albanians, since he has brought elements of crime to the parliament in an attempt to silence the opposition. The President of the Republic of Albania has sent an appreciative letter to the outgoing President of Israel. The head of the Albanian state, Bujar Nishani, has sent a letter of appreciation to the former President of Israel, Shimon Peres, since his mandate has now ended. In his letter, President Bujar Nishani expressed his appreciation for the work of Peres and his contribution in strengthening the bilateral relationship between Albania and Israel. Nishani also mentioned the warm welcome he received in Israel nearly a year ago as a confirmation of the consolidated relationships between Albania and Israel. The President of the Albanian Republic, Bujar Nishani, also expressed his opinion that the relationships between both countries would be strengthened even more in domains of mutual interest, and of course, to the benefit of both countries. The condition of the man who was bitten by a rat is still critical, but the doctors have released more information about the disease. The doctors of the infection hospital stated today that during this month, 6 patients have been registered with hemorrhagic fevers, mostly in the northeastern areas. According to them, in Albania there is an epidemic situation, especially in the areas of Tropoja, Kalaya I Dodes, and Shenjergji. The symptoms of the disease are fever, high temperature, and hemorrhage. The doctors stated that the source of this infection are animals, especially rodents, such as rats, as well as insects. The condition of the 35-year-old that was bitten by a red rat continues to be critical, but his situation has improved some. According to the doctors who are attending this case, the patient has kidney problems, and this gives him terrible headaches and stomach aches. Despite that, the doctors are optimistic that the condition of the 35-year-old Nuri Georgi will improve, since he has reacted well to the medicines. Yesterday, the Georgi family appealed for more citizens to donate blood, since Nuri has a very rare blood type of AB negative. According to the members of the family, he and his brother were working in the castle of Doda in Shkodra when they were bitten by a red rat. Both brothers were immediately hospitalized in Peshkopia, but unfortunately, one of them did not survive the infection and passed away 2 days ago. 3 days ago, a concerned citizen requested the investigative program Alarm on Aura News to make this case public and to notify the authorities regarding this event. The safety of the oil and construction sites in Fier is a growing concern for the citizens and the workers. The rules of technical safety continue to be a disturbing problem in the city of Fier, since these rules are not being applied. According to the experts, the most affected sector is construction, due to the lack of warning signs, which jeopardizes the lives of employees and other people who walk close to a construction site. The head of the Union Confederation, Tafil Jolina, stated that this is a most disturbing problem that must be solved at once. The head of the Confederation said that the primary entity that is responsible for the lack of safety at work is the Work Inspectorate, which must perform several controls over subjects that pose a threat and endanger the lives of employees and other citizens. A Serbian leader feels that the media is not reporting on the EU in a way that relates to the citizens. The head of the Serbian negotiation team in the EU accession talks, Tanja Miščević, said that in their reports on European integration, the local media are not giving sufficient attention to the importance of the reforms for citizens' lives. Opening the meeting on the media, and the civil society as guarantors of the transparent, responsible, and inclusive talks with the EU, Mishkevich said that the accession talks with the EU are a process. The goals of this process do not boil down to the membership status only, but also cover an essential social reform, which is why the focus of the media reports on the European integration process need to be shifted away from the technical aspects of the talks to each of the individual areas which will undergo changes in the process. The local media needs to create a space in which information can be provided, not just about the progress made in the screenings, but also about the reasons behind them. This calls for research and ensuring that reporters get continuous updates about the process itself. The key issues in the reports on European integration need to be the personal interest of the citizens and the ways that European integration will impact the lives of every individual in Serbia, Mishkevich said in a meeting organized by the Belgrade Open School. A week earlier, the Serbian president, Tomislav Nikolić, said that Serbia has a historic chance to become a member of the EU within a reasonable time period. In a statement for reporters upon the conclusion of the annual summit of the leaders in the Brdo-Briuni process, Nikolić said that Serbian citizens should not be overly optimistic concerning the deadlines. He added that Serbia will need quite a few years to fully access the EU. Still, we will not spend the years simply waiting, but instead, the country will be regulated according to the merits of every citizen and in keeping with the EU legislature, Nikolić said. The meeting in Dubrovnik was a continuation of the positive initiative that was launched in 2013 under the auspices of the French President François Hollande. The patron of the 2014 meeting on Tuesday was the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Next year's meeting place is yet to be established, Nikolić said. He noted that Serbia is not ready to host the gathering yet. The idea to stage gatherings of this kind is positive, as it contributes to the creation of an atmosphere of cooperation among the countries in the region, in which those that are already EU members will strive to help other countries on their EU paths. Nikolić reiterated that Serbia is committed to the EU accession process, but at the same time cannot leave behind the friendships and other interests of the country. The Serbian president noted that the EU is conducting negotiations with the Pristina administration and that Serbia will never recognize Kosovo's independence. All the same, talks are being conducted and agreements are being carried out to the greatest possible extent so that all Serbian citizens may live better, he noted. He said that he spoke openly at the gathering because he believes the EU is a community of people who speak their mind freely and openly. The experts are analyzing the situation in Serbia and assessing whether there is any risk of retaliation. The analyst and former ambassador to France, Predrag Simic, says that when it comes to the Ukrainian crisis, Serbia has avoided any serious consequences for now. However, he noted that this was true except in one case, which refers to the South Stream project. According to him, this project has been pushed to some unknown point in the future, but it will become evident by the end of the year whether the start of membership negotiations with the European Union will also suffer. He said that he holds this opinion because of some views on Serbia that are coming from the West. Simic, who now teaches at the Faculty of Political Sciences, told a TV Pink broadcaster that after the outbreak of the Ukrainian crisis and the shooting down of a Malaysian airplane, the United States wants to change the balance of power. According to him, they want to do this in order to sever the ties and weaken the Russian influence in European countries, especially in Germany. For the U.S., it is important that Russia is held at a distance from Europe, and at the same time, the U.S. wants to maintain its own presence there, said Simic. In all of this, he believes that Serbia has great significance because it has so far shown the most sympathy for Russia, regardless of being officially neutral. Simic also told the broadcaster that Serbia has now once again, in some way, become Little Russia, or a metaphor of Russia, and that there is nervousness and tension in the public, both at home and abroad. He added that at this moment, top domestic officials want to preserve the ties with Russia, as they believe that the integration of Serbia into Europe is, after all, a distant prospect. If Serbia joined the countries that have implemented sanctions against Russia, it would be very cold in Serbia this coming winter, asserted Simic. Last week, Serbian President Tomislav Nikolic announced that Russian President Vladimir Putin will visit Belgrade on October 20th. He said, "Putin will come to Belgrade to join us in celebration of the day that Belgrade was liberated in 1944. The Serbian president told this to the Radio Television of Serbia, RTS, late on Thursday. He added that the Russian leader will arrive here at his invitation. Nikolic revealed that he was also invited to go to Russia for the 2015 celebration of Victory Day over fascism. Touching on the Ukrainian crisis, Nikolic said that the EU and Russia were on opposing sides of the issue, and that Serbia was friends with both. Had we taken sides with either one of the two, we would have lost a friend," Nikolic said. More details have been released about how the assistance funds for Serbia will be distributed. The director of the Office for Assistance released some of the details. The Office for Assistance and Rehabilitation of Flooded Areas will be able to begin dispersing funds for the construction and rehabilitation of houses that were damaged in the May floods in about 10 days, said Marko Blagojevic, the director of the office. After the adoption of a program for reconstruction of houses and residential buildings that were damaged or destroyed by the floods, Blagojevic told Tanjog that the procedure that was provided for the local governments to make decisions on the allocation of state aid to citizens should give an eight-day deadline for appeals and then begin payments after that. Local governments can begin to issue decisions immediately, he said. After a period of 8 days for appeals, we can start making the payments. Blagojevic said that the government stood behind its promise that all houses that have been torn down or have been scheduled for demolition after the flooding would be restored by winter. More than 3.6 billion RSD will be earmarked for rehabilitation and construction of new houses. 2.5 billion RSD will go to the rehabilitation of houses, and estimates show that there are about 10,000 housing facilities to deal with. 875 million RSD will go to the reconstruction of destroyed houses, he said. The office will build 350 houses in cooperation with donors from the EU, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, the Blick Foundation, and the Association of Businessmen in Stara Pazova, he said. An agreement on using the IPA funds will be signed in Obrenovac on Friday, Belgrade's municipality that was hit the hardest by the floods, after which a call for tenders for the construction of 129 houses should be issued. Then we can expect the construction work to start 2 or 3 weeks after that, he said. Blagojevic said that work should start soon to build 25 houses with financial aid from Kuwait and 40 houses with the help of donations from the UAE. The work in Obrenovac, which is being rebuilt with the help of the Blick Foundation, should be completed in early August. And next week we will see the signing of an agreement on building house facilities in Banja Basta, he said. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the news for this evening. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, and please join us again on Monday at 6 p.m. for more Albanian news in English. Thanks, and good night.